and welcome to the Running Book Reviews podcast, where we review books written by forerunners, backrunners, and byrunners to help you decide if you'd like to read the book for yourself. We also hope that listening to us chat about running can help you keep you motivated about your own running, or maybe inspire you to try something new. My name's Alan, and with my co-hosts, Liz and Shayan, we're going to give a summary of our thoughts on not the last 10 running books, but the last 10 running books after we did the previous 10 running books, i.e. books 120 to 130 or 121 to 1...
Yeah, we're a little late with
121 to 130. Yeah.
And actually, I was looking at the list of books and I'm like, oh my gosh, I read that ages ago. But I guess we should just get on with it. Right?
Well,
but
that's
the
good.
wisdom remains forever.
That's good. Because if people have already just listened to the podcast about the book, you don't want us summarizing it again for them. So it's
all right.
Catching people up.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so I guess we should launch in with Chasing the Grid by Kevin Posner. So this one was the book about Kevin Posner and some of his running exploits and his challenges that he basically kind of, he didn't make them up.
Did you say Kevin Posner?
Ken, sorry.
Kenneth Posner. Ken, please forgive us.
Yeah, we're sorry. So he ran a lot of kilometers in the Catskills Mountains.
Yeah, the idea is that there are 35 peaks in the Catskills, and he got sort of interested in doing trail running in the Catskill Mountains.
Which, wait, we should put the disclaimer that, like, there's actually not really much running and trail running in the Catskills because he's, like, bushwhacking a lot of the time. In the book, he is, at least.
It seemed to be, but, I mean, I
guess you can run.
Any trail that doesn't have, like, bitumen on it for you is, like, bushwhacking.
I'm just here to watch the roasting from one person to another. It's funny.
That was a gravel cycle pass. Oh no, we had to bushwhack through.
I can neither confirm nor deny this ever happened.
So anyway, the Catskills, there's 35 peaks, and some of them are a bit. You're quite right. Some of them are a bit like no real trail. You've got to just chart your way to the peak. But the idea of the grid is that you run all 35 peaks in every month of the year. So that's 35 times 12. And you don't have to do it in
1 year.
You've got to run every peak in January, every peak in February. It can be any February, whatever. So it's actually a monumental task.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I always wonder, does someone think of this first? Did they do it and then make it a thing for everyone else? How do people think of this?
I have no idea. I don't know. I feel like ultra trail running is just like its own world of people that make up these, like,
it's all hermits and voodoo,
like all these challenges that are just, I don't know, they're huge, some of them.
Also, Kenny, he got very into minimalist, so he started running barefoot everywhere, including running the Catskills in winter barefoot
and bushwhacking barefoot, like real bushwhacking, not like what I think is bushwhacking.
So there's a pretty good story if you're into trail running, and I guess developing targets, goals, dedicating yourself to, enjoying getting out in nature in a fairly minimalist fashion.
And I think also one of the things that the book kind of says is it's not really about the goal, it's about how the goal motivates you. So the goal could be anything, and for Ken it was this, but it could be something else for someone else. It could be, you could have a goal to, I don't know, run 5K a day for a whole year, or like there's all kinds of things. Like I think of just our running club, and we have Lucy, who often does these like make-a-thon and mark-a-thon, and so it's like a specific month where the goal is to just run every day, and you have to run a minimum of a mile, I think, or something like that. And so make-a-thon was like the month of May. And she'll do these every so often. Like I've seen her do, I don't know, probably at least 3 or 4 of these
Yeah, it's a good way of keeping
up
yourself
until now.
motivated, as you say. I mean, Ken,
Yeah.
after the Catskills, we said, what's your goal now then? No, you've done that. And I think he said it like, 1,000 peaks, 1,000 different peaks. And
Oh my God.
That's
and
something.
then,
Yeah.
and then we said, we have some mountains near us, the Laurentian Mountains. And he was going, oh, really? Oh, you could see him almost getting the atlas out and
Yeah.
starting to plan his trips up to the
Trying
Laurentian
to figure
Mountains.
out how long he would have to stay in
He's
Montreal to
right.
do all these. Yeah.
Anyway, but we didn't say, but probably we should say that, when we're talking about these books, if something piques your fancy, you can always go back. Of course, you can read the book if you haven't read the book. You can always go back and listen to the full episode on this book. All you got to
Hmm.
do is scroll down your list a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
find the
And
one,
find the
chase in the
title.
grid, and off you go.
Yeah, 'cause some of these stories on paper are extraordinary and like perfect word, monumental. But when you listen to someone talk about it, you feel the passion for it. You relate to that passion with something that you might do on your own that might not have to do with something that
Exactly. Yeah.
monumental. And just seeing that or feeling that doesn't have to be for the goal. If you relate to the journey as a listener, you'll just be like, oh, I'm gonna do the Makeathon this year, or I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
gonna do something else
Yeah.
because that's my thing. It just
That's a
feels you
great point.
sometimes.
That's absolutely the meta behind almost all of our books and podcasts. You know, people who have done crazy things, and you go, well, you can never do that crazy thing, probably, but you can actually take inspiration from something that they did,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
and then
Absolutely.
do
Yeah.
your crazy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I find most of our episodes have the author on them, and I just find that sometimes, as listeners know, I'm less of a trail runner than Alan. So Alan gets very excited about reading trail running books. And I read them and I always get something out of them, but like they're not like the first pick on my list usually. But then you talk to the author and like you see how running is relatable no matter where you're coming to it from. And it's just listening to that person talk about this goal that they have, but with such passion and conviction that it makes you maybe not pick the same goal, but makes you inspired to try a different kind of goal.
Do you
What's your
think
goal if you were to apply the same passion to it? What would yours
that's
be?
just what I was going to say?
Ah, sorry.
Well, at the moment is I haven't given up on this sub 3 hour marathon. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I haven't given up on that. I'm like, you know what? I think until I'm 50, I have no excuse, is basically what I've decided. So I just have to keep on trying, and I'm just hoping that this year is the one, and you know, I'm picking a different plan this time from a different book, and let's see what happens.
We need to find it.
You doing the plan from the Marathon Excellence
Marathon
for Everyone?
excellence. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
pretty good.
wonder where I
I'm
can
dabbling with
hear
that.
more about that book.
Mm.
Do you
Check out
There,
the
guys know?
episode in Running
there,
Book Reviews.
there could be,
Ooh.
yeah, there could be a podcast on that.
Should we try for book number 2? We're going to be
Yeah,
here
we
for a
probably
week
should.
at this
Otherwise,
rate.
yeah, we got to do these more quickly. So, Fuel for Thought by Renee McGregor. So Renee McGregor is a sports dietitian, and she speaks a lot about eating disorders, and specifically eating disorders in athletes. And so she wrote this book. It's about fueling, but it's very much about your relationship with food, um, and why it's important to work on it if you've got sort of a negative relationship with food, because if you want to run the best that you can, you need to fuel that training and that performance. So she has this was kind of like a second book because she had written a book that was all about, the more traditional, like the macros and all of that, and how much of this you need and how much of that. And
Yeah,
this was
that's
sort of like the
called
follow-up.
More Fuel You. More Fuel You.
Yes. Yeah. And
This
this one
book.
was the
Fuel for Thought.
yeah.
I was surprised how much conversation and how many people there are who have uh, a difficult relationship or a strained relationship with their food, with their eating.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
actually pretty eye-opening.
you've spoken about, some difficulties you've had in the past with bad advice you got from nutritionists and then problems you got into.
Yeah.
But almost everywhere we turn, we bump into this kind of fueling problem and eating disorders and or
Yeah.
disordered eating is probably it's kind of not an eating disorder in itself, but a precursor to a potential eating disorder.
Yeah.
Um, I just sort of, I guess, as somebody who just like eats the food, runs, gets too tired, and decides they need to eat more food next time. I
Yeah.
just kind of, I've never had a sort of a secondary agenda with food. Just sort of chowed down and off we go. Um,
Yeah. I think part of that could just be, maybe like the messaging in society in general is very much targeting women. I
mm,
feel like every woman I meet is on a diet at like all the time. Um, and mainstream media, it's always about some kind of hack about, how to get thinner and it's just it's the way it is, and that doesn't mean that men don't have disordered eating as well, because Renee does actually kind of acknowledge that, like it seems to be more present in women, and I think it's just because women, even when they're not athletes, they're fed all kinds of information through social media and just messaging and society and what we perceive society valuing as being, I guess, successful. For men it's like be big and strong and brave, and for women it's like, you
be
know,
thin.
don't be noticed too much. Like just um don't make too many waves, and with that, yeah, it's often like for women it's often targeting looks, and so it's in different ways. It's not just in size, it's also like,
Yeah,
you're getting older and it's like how to get rid of all your wrinkles, and women always dye their hair when they start to get gray and men don't, and it's like, why is that? Why is it that every dye box at the pharmacy has like a woman's picture on it? How come it's not more mixed? And I guess it's just
there's a
because
bias. Yeah,
yeah, there's a bit of a bias.
It's
Anyway,
almost seasonally institutionalized too when it goes when you go back to you were talking about weight loss and trends and patterns. You'll have great ingrained into teenagers now. When it's winter time, it's a bulking season because January, February, March, you're going to the gym more often because that's when the gym subscriptions go up and sorry, the subscriptions numbers go up. People are all going to the gym.
yeah.
You're wearing a sweater so you can add on a few pounds without looking different. You don't have to feel self-conscious about your body and you eat more. And then as soon as the weather gets warm, everyone's the cutting season. And so you
Hmm.
sort of systematically create this habit and you create a reward system for everyone to feel like, well, this is just normal. We're all going through bulking season together. And then Beachbody's got to come around the summer. You got to sweat those pounds off and eat less. And because
Hmm.
there's like these waves, it almost makes
yeah,
it normal and accepted for everyone.
yeah.
And the disconnect for me and maybe for other runners is that we have that sort of, but not in the same way as they do. We'll just see it as, well, you can't really try to lose weight while you're in peak training, whether it's a big build, half marathon, marathon, 10K ultra training, because you got to put the pounds in. You got to eat
You put the
the
calories
calories you're
in.
losing. Exactly,
Mm.
put the calories in, and you can't really look at it that way. But we do hear it from people and runners across everywhere talk about, well, now I got to you lose a few pounds before my training season starts because, it's going to make us run faster and all that. So because you created a reward system for it, it just sounds like we always have to be conscious about it. But then you have people like Alan who just says, well, I just want to eat when I'm hungry. And I know I'm going to burn it off as soon as I can because I run. I'm always active. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. And I don't think every single way um, is helpful for every single person, I think.
I think
I
that
think,
the trick is to try and establish a lifestyle, not
Mhm.
to
but so
engage with a diet,
I
because
think that's where it starts from, though. I think that most of the time when you get disordered eating, it started from a place of, all right, like I want to get healthier, whatever that means. But people don't know how, and they don't necessarily seek professional advice from people like Renee. They will, they'll use social media or it's a little bit like starting to run. Like most people don't join a club and get coaching when as soon as they start running. They'll usually try and start running on their own, and they'll get
yeah,
messages from the internet and social media and whatever is out there, which sometimes is good information and sometimes it's not good information. And so that's how they'll start, and then later they'll try and correct what started happening that was negative by going to get the professional advice. And I think that yeah, with food, it's interesting because there sometimes, you get a whole like cultural shift. You look at like trends in eating and people believing that, oh, because the ketogenic diet seems to be a thing and everyone's doing it, well, this must be healthy and it must be the way to eat.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, and it's very restricted because most people want things to be easy. And what's easier than saying, all right, you can eat as much as you want, but you can only eat these food groups? Like, there is just, it's so attractive because it just seems so easy.
Mhm.
But
That is the
it's,
key. If you make it
yeah,
easy, you
yeah,
can attract a lot more people to it.
yeah. And I think like it's attractive for sure, but
I think
for
one of the
runners,
things we
it's
learn as runners is there are no shortcuts.
yeah.
You got
Yeah,
to
good
do
point.
you have to do the work.
Yeah.
You do the work, and you get a certain amount of results out. Maybe you get lots, maybe you get a bit, but if you don't do the work, you don't get.
Yeah.
So this. I was going to say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but that's probably inappropriate for this book.
Yeah.
You have to do the work you can't
Yeah.
get
And
results by trying to cheat the system. There's no
You
shortcut.
can hurt yourself and injure yourself. We've read
mhm.
and
Yeah,
heard many podcasts and stories about trying to do that, and
yeah.
it's harmful. Good point.
A cool thing in Renee's book was the A to Z of foods.
Yep.
I thought it was quite fun. I remember you having a good time with that, Liz. You find out in the A to Z of foods sometimes more about some foods you've heard of or some new foods you've never heard of.
Yeah.
It's pretty
And
cool.
I think that's part of, she's just trying to say that actually it's not like no food should be off limits unless you're allergic or intolerant to it. But she just says like you can eat everything, but you just like need to eat a little of everything, you know what I mean? And not there's no yeah there's no easy way around it. So the A to Z of foods is good because also it kind of I think I was for ice cream or something. So you see like she
Yeah.
puts in that you have to eat things that you like and that make you happy, and they don't necessarily all need to be of nutritional quality. So in my case, like I'll eat potato chips, but then I make sure that I first
Shame
ate
on you.
my bag of vegetables before I eat the potato chips because then at least I got the
But
vitamins.
you ate a whole bag of potato chips?
I didn't eat a whole
The
bag of
family
that.
size from Costco, Liz?
Oh
What?
my God. Oh my God. Those bags are so big. You
Oh,
know
she
how
knows
wrong.
about them.
The cat's surely not eating that.
No, no, like because I've bought those and they last forever. Forever.
Chocolate bars are my
Yeah,
go-to. I
I don't
spoke
like
about that a few
chocolate.
times.
Yeah.
Big
Like
Chicago mix popcorn fan.
I don't know. You know what? Like I like sweet and I like salty, but like
So then,
don't mix them together.
oh,
No,
okay.
no.
vive la différence. We've all got different sins.
We've
Okay,
spoken.
Yeah.
enough with fuel.
All right.
Got another
Okay.
food book coming up. So
All right. But not next, because next we're just going to talk about a bunch of badass women.
Yeah.
So we have
Well,
Ultra Women by Lily Cantor and Emma Wilkinson.
This was a fun podcast to listen to. I love the chemistry.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they were just fantastic ladies. They're great athletes themselves. Um, so not only are they good, they've been there and done that and are enthusiastic about it, but they're also massive advocates for women in sport, in endurance
Hmm.
sport in particular.
Yeah. And the book is it's a great format because it's just like a lot of different female runners that some of them are like kind of my generation. Some of them are older than that. Some of them are more recent, and it's just like little snippets of, how they got to where they are. As some of them are Olympians, and most of them show that the road to the top wasn't just a smooth upward trajectory. It was like, there were a bunch of plateaus and setbacks and all those kinds of things, and it's just great reading. And I think like this is the kind of book, if you have a a
A
teenage
young
girl in
girl. Yeah.
sports, and she likes endurance sports, like this is kind of the sort of book that you want to inspire her with, I think.
Do you take caffeine when you run? Lots of people do because it's in gels and stuff. And caffeine's legal and it's been proven to work. There's actual science that shows that it improves your endurance running performance.
And there's anecdotal data from when you have your coffee in the morning and you go for a workout versus when you forgot to have your coffee or you didn't have time and you went for a workout and it was terrible.
And the trouble with coffee is there's a lot of liquid just to get your caffeine dose.
Yeah, so then you have to stop for the bathroom mid-workout. Very impractical. Which is where Caffeine Bullet comes in.
What's caffeine bullet, Liz?
It's a caffeine supplement. It's wrapped up like in a candy. So, and it tastes like candy. And you can get 100 milligrams or 85 milligrams, which is about a cup of coffee, but without the liquid.
So we've tried the mint flavor and the chocolate orange flavor, and they're both pretty yummy.
If you want to try them for yourself, we do have a 20% off discount code. So go to the link in the show notes and you can check out what Caffeine Bullet is and get your 20% discount.
Pretty generous.
It is pretty generous.
And we'll get a small benefit, so you're helping out the
Speaking of which, back to the podcast.
Interestingly, the cover of the book, I noticed after we'd done the podcast, the cover of the book was shortlisted in the best sports books covers of the year, I think. Not running, sports.
Sports.
Yeah. It's
Wow.
a very simple book cover, but it's very powerful in the way it sort of comes across. It's sort of monochrome with a sort of badass runner silhouette on it, and it kind of won prizes for the.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, did you say the book cover or the book itself
I think
was
it was the
broken?
cover.
I think it was the. I think it
Oh,
was
okay,
the
okay.
picture.
Oh, I have to look that up. That's amazing.
Road to Redemption by Tom Fitzgerald.
So this is
It's
This is a fictional book by Matt Fitzgerald's dad.
Yep. And it was like 40 years in the making because he started it like 40 years ago and only finished it, what, last year?
Yeah.
At the encouragement of his sons. He's got more than one. And yeah.
I love their
So
chemistry too. Speaking of good chemistry, another couple of people who just you could see they were playing off each other a little bit, and father-son chemistry is always fascinating to me. I like just listening to it. It was comfort listen for me.
mhm.
Tom Fitzgerald actually has is it Parkinson's?
I think it's Parkinson's.
Yeah, so Matt and Sean, his sons, were on the podcast with us, just helping him along.
Hmm.
Occasionally he'd have sort of little memory lapses and stuff. But it was pretty fun. And the story is a good story. It has the Boston Marathon as one of the focal points. It's not sort of it's more a flawed character who's trying to do something to make good in their life. Not really like win the Olympics or um, you know, win some amazing prize or world record, but to do something that's seemingly impossible for them,
Hmm.
um, which is
Mhm.
it's kind of a fun motif. It's
Yeah.
a fun script.
And um and so Cheyenne, because you're here with us. You haven't read these books, I guess, because you started to be a co-host afterwards. But I know like you were reading some of them. So do you tend to like the fiction, or are you more of a training books guy
As a reader or listener of the podcast?
as a reader? Because
As a
as a
reader,
listener, I think you listen to everything.
yes, I do.
Yeah.
And I like when the dynamics differ. I like when you mix in a fiction. It
Hmm.
just feels like things are more laid back and like you're asking about characters and it's fun. And then when it's like a training book, we're asking questions and we're trying to learn more
Hmm.
for ourselves. As a reader, I love a good fiction book. I think it's just easier to flow through and read, but I mostly read to learn. So I'll whether it's a running book or a self-help book or philosophy or business, I'll just read those. But at times you read a few of them in a row and you feel like it's starting to get heavy and you haven't processed or I haven't processed all the lessons in it yet. So then I'll mix in a good fiction book or a book based on a movie that I watched and then that just makes me read it faster. I'll read a great John Grisham book, for example, and then I'm back into reading something else. So it's like a dessert among other
Okay.
readings that are meals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, I kind
What
of
about
feel the
you?
same. I kind
Yeah.
of feel it. So the thing is, I think I've changed perspective over the years because at first I was very much training book. Like I just wanted all of the training information. But I think that I've read so many now, and it's not that I've learned everything there is to learn because every time we read a new one, there's some bit of information that like didn't I I didn't catch in the other books, or that I just didn't. It was said in a different way that maybe like I grasped the concept a little differently, or it made it more applicable to me, or whatever. So so it's not that I stopped learning from them. It's just that I think that maybe it's also, I don't know, maybe it's like also just getting older and just getting not older in age, but like older in the sport. I feel like my source of inspiration at the moment is very much seeing other people that are my age doing great things. So like Sarah Hall, who's like a big name in the US, and she still runs competitively at like 42. And I think the reason for that is because I'm mid 40s now, and that's never really mattered to me except that I've started to hear more and more things like, and not in a bad way. It's just like it's not people meaning it, they mean it as like a way to relieve the pressure that maybe I put on myself. But I feel like I hear more and more like, well, you're not getting any younger. And I know that, but like I there so for example, that sub 3 hour marathon goal, like I'm just not ready to give up on it yet. Um, And it's not that I'm like delusional that I'm not getting older. Like I am, like I know, and I've been running now for like 20 years, which that also just, when you've been doing something for that long, your rate of improvement just is not the same as it used to be, right? It's like when you're a new runner, you're basically improving every time you race.
He doesn't understand any of this stuff. He's just a kid.
No,
I'm getting there. I'm
it's
getting there.
okay. You know
Actually, I
what?
am
You know
feeling
what?
this.
I'm just giving you all these heads up for later. Like in 10 years, Cheyenne, like you're gonna start to
And you know what I have that you guys unfortunately didn't have? The benefit of a podcast that I listened to before it happened. Like me listening
Yeah.
to this, honestly, as you said, it builds all these ideas and I see the concept more fully.
Hmm.
And 20 years ago or 10 years ago or however long ago anyone here listening was in their peak of their running age like I am right now, maybe they didn't have that. Maybe they had to read earnestly, book by book to learn. But there's so much
Hmm.
content here that you're right. Sometimes between the content we're listening to, we're scrolling through, we're reading through the articles we're given. We tend to build this idea, and in my case particularly, it I've had to shift myself from fearing, oh, I'm going to age, to look at all this information that I built and I know what to look forward to. So when I hit
Yeah.
a period of my life where my metabolism is already starting to slow down, where running recovery isn't as instantaneous as it used to be, well, not only am
Yeah.
I surrounded by great runners like you, but I'm also hearing from you and hearing from other sources of information, and I know how to face it very well. So it really supports your case where you really get ready for it. And I feel like each of us in this room right now, and the people listening to this podcast who are the 1% of the 1% of runners, like you got to
Mhm.
be crazy into running to be listening to this. You are ready for whatever the next phase is because you're interested and because you're open-minded. And that just makes you a far better runner than the previous version of you would have been if you hadn't been open to learning all this.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's well said, but also the the books that I guess I've gravitated to more recently, which was the question, are the ones, the stories, like the personal stories. So, um, the biographies and sometimes even the fiction books, because yes, the fiction books are not real people, but oftentimes the story is realistic.
Mm.
I mean, the ones that were about running. So, I'm not talking about like science fiction. Although even those books, like a lot of times those authors they do research and so it's like it's based on something that in theory, like if you push the theory far enough, like it could happen. So they um but yeah, I feel like sometimes even just the characters in the fictional books, um because they are a mix of traits from real people oftentimes. I've kind of gravitated towards those. Um,
There's a
yeah,
lot to
a little
gain
bit more.
from fiction
Yeah.
books, I think. I think if we're in a part of our running time where we're trying to relate to other characters to draw inspiration from, I think we might have capped out the inspiration of learning training methods. Maybe it is relating to a character because that character is not just a runner. They would probably have a parent, a family, a career, whatever it is in that fiction, then we can relate to it. And that just makes us more than a runner because that's who
Hmm.
we are anyway. I really resonate with that ability to just relate to people through their story and you pick the parts that you want rather than being
Yeah.
told, here's an instruction method to be the best. Why
Yeah.
not just learn it yourself?
Also, the thing is that those training books, they just have so much content. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, now how do you apply that? And the truth is, you don't really have to apply absolutely everything exactly as it's written in the textbook. It's all about like you can apply it more subtly. So I guess a bit like Alan's protein intake. He was what he pairs it with something that he does on a regular basis, and so he's increasing his protein intake, which is both good for his overall health and also his running recovery. Um, and we're also in this era, I think, of just we're kind of lucky because there are more people that are older that are still able to train at a high level. Um, I'm just thinking of the football player Tom Brady. That well, obviously Allen, but but I mean, you just kind of the well-known athletes. Like you
Yeah.
see more and more of them that are
Yeah.
still among the best. Um,
Cristiano
Elliot,
Ronaldo's 41, Leo Messi is 39, I think. They're both playing the World Cup presently.
Serena Williams, Djokovic.
She's back in Wimbledon. Djokovic still playing in Wimbledon. You were going to say Eliud Kipchoge, right, Elizabeth?
yeah, Elliot Kipchoge, yeah, because he was like dominant for 10 years. I mean, he was winning marathons until he was maybe 38, and now I mean, okay, he didn't win the last two, I think. But I mean, I don't know. Being fifth is nothing to sneeze
Yeah.
at with
Poor
like a
guy. He's
time
only
of
running
like,
206 now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know. It's just I think we're in an era that because we know more about staying healthy, that, we're able to to do the things we like for longer.
We've
if we
pushed the envelope
choose.
further. I think the science is more well known. I think people are ready to take more risks. They're surrounding themselves with more people who are healthy. You know, the common joke in hockey is in the 80s, they'd be sitting in between periods and smoking and
Yeah.
drinking because that's
Yeah.
what they did. And they, that was a different time. I think now everyone's really paying attention to the small details. And
Yeah.
yeah, Liz, you just
I
make a
mean,
perfect
runners
point.
like runners did the same. Like in the 80s, like they'd run their track race and then smoke a cigarette after, and it was a thing.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard stories. Um, I don't know if it was so common in longer distances because you kind of need your lungs in longer distances.
Mm.
But let's say on the
You
track,
kind of need your lungs full stop, huh?
I mean, you do,
Um,
yeah. But
yeah.
when you're 20, you don't think about that.
Liz is onto something here. Lungs.
Lungs, yeah, very important.
I think the trick is try to understand what you're trying to do with your running in terms of, what am I about? Where am I at? And what would my ambition be that's next step realistic? And then once you have that, look around for what your next step forward towards it is. And then just try and build the wall.
Okay, so my
Build the
question for you
pyramid.
is, you always knew protein was important. What was the turning point? You've
Well, no,
heard protein.
I
What was it for
one
you that
one I
you've done that?
learned that protein was important, and I learned more about why it's important. I learned that if you're in a normal diet situation and you're a normal person of a normal age, you're probably okay.
Hmm.
And you're just wasting money if you're getting protein supplements. But if you're a runner that needs to recover and you're an endurance runner and you're also an old endurance runner, one, you're going to need more protein for your muscle reconstitution after the micro breakdowns of exercise. Two, and I learned this by reading books. And
Hmm.
Hmm.
two, if you're an older person, you're not going to absorb your protein as well. So you probably need to take a bit more. So I thought, oh, I have a kind of double jeopardy there in terms of my situation. So I should try to supplement. If I'm trying to supplement, well, I need to look at my diet first of all and go, where's the protein in this meal? And that's kind of my dietary adjustment, which is here's a meal. Where's the protein in it?
Hmm.
Well, there's a big piece of chicken there. Okay, keep moving. Um, so you need to ask yourself that. And then you need to maybe supplement. Okay, how can I build that supplement into my lifestyle so that it's not something that I've added to my decision matrix, but actually just part of my lifestyle?
Hmm.
So,
Mm.
now all of those things, all of that awareness and the way to do it, I learned from the books that we've read,
That's
basically.
an example right there. Like
Yeah,
Liz
and
is
I'm going,
saying.
okay, that could be my next step. Let's build it in.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we've used it as a sort of good example on many occasions now. But
Yep.
once you get that in, you've then got to go, well, okay, I seem to have that routinely as part of my daily lifestyle. Maybe I've got that covered. Okay, what's my next thing? What's the next thing that's going to enable me to run for longer and not get injured and maybe perform if you're looking to perform. Um, so then you look around and you go,
Mm.
well, I'm going to try to, I don't know, add some strides to one of my runs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed
Hmm.
work is not something I like doing. It's kind of, oh, I don't want to go and run around the track.
Same.
Uh, uh,
Same.
um,
Those
so, but
I would love to just go for a bunch of easy runs all the
but now
time, but
you
the
but
thing
now
is you
but
need
now
the
you know that some
intervals.
speed is probably going to help you a bit towards your goal if you have a goal. So
Hmm.
you,
Mm.
so you drop 4 strides in at the end of your easy run.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, and it's probably not going to do much, but it's a step in the right direction now, and you can build it into your training lifestyle. And now you're taking another step forward, and all you do then is you're just habit stacking. You're
Mm.
just stacking good habits.
And sometimes this habit stacking, like what helps it along is just hearing how other athletes do it.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
that's
so
yeah.
these, so I guess we can move on to practical fueling for endurance athletes because this was an example where, there's some like little stories in there, recipes and things included. And it helps, it helps figure out how to apply it to yourself because you just see like oh well, oh okay, they put this habit, they stacked it with this other habit and that's how they got it into their day. It's a bit like for me, having a pre-established training plan just removes the mental load of figuring out every day, oh, okay, well, do I run or do I not run? And then how much do I run? Am I due for intervals? How long should my long run be? I don't have to think about any of these things because I've I have a training plan up until the marathon and I'm trying to follow it. I mean, unless I get injured and I need to adjust, but it's kind of the same thing with these with, any nutrition or any other kind of habit that you want to incorporate into your life to make it better.
Yeah, Callie Van Horn, who wrote the book, is like super credible. She's like dietitian to the stars almost in terms of dealing with, well-known endurance athletes. And so she has stories of all sorts of endurance athletes, and examples that can be
Mm-hmm.
inspirational. And you see that, you have a thought that, oh, I wonder if my diet's good for these in these aspects. And then you read some stories, you realize that everybody's going through the same thing. They're all trying to kind of work out how to optimize.
Yeah, I found the
Yeah.
podcast shed a good light on how disarming the book how good of a job the book did of disarming the ideas and the fallacies or just in general all the things that we're afraid of to talk about when it comes to nutrition and the testimonies that you guys referred to as well as the tips that just habits stacked as you're talking about made it a lot more easier to just start it. It lowered the entry barrier to starting it. Like when you talked about, for example, I remember there was a question where you asked about cooking once and eating twice. That is something, as transparent as I could be, is what we do in our family all the time.
Hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that I was raised with. And the lunch I would take to school the next day was my last night's meal, and sometimes two nights
Yeah.
ago's meal, and it
Yeah.
was just as good. But some people, different cultures, different families have a different approach to it. But if we're talking about specifically as a performance point of view, someone might say, well, you have to have the freshest of chickens, and you have to have the freshest of fruit or vegetables. But in this case, it just disarmed it and made it much more approachable rather than looking at
Mm-hmm.
this as a science that we're trying to find the 1% marginal gain from. It just made it more everyday.
Also, I think some people sometimes try to take let's say, the 100th step before they've taken the first step.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they want to know, am I doing enough mileage in my long run at the right pace? When in fact, they've got no mileage to speak of in their week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're doing a long run on Saturday and trying to make up. Um, they're trying to take they're trying to answer the wrong question.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're better off taking a bunch of little steps, like a lot of smaller runs, or, maybe
Yeah,
you
or
say,
just gradually raise your mileage before you have to
yeah.
worry about your long run and how it's constituted.
Or in the context of nutrition for endurance, like just start with whatever you're not doing. So usually it's, taking carbs during your long run.
Yeah,
If you're
if you're
not,
not having breakfast and wondering why your morning training runs are tough,
yeah,
then don't worry about
then
what's in your training run.
yeah.
Worry about what's in your cereal bowl.
Worry about what's not in your cereal bowl because yeah, it's
One of the things that you said all the way through, Liz, is you should fuel your runs. You have to eat. You have to eat and fuel your runs. Um, and I think people worry about, what they're eating when they should be.
when they should worry about, are they eating or are
Yeah,
they eating at the right time? Because I
yeah.
think and that comes back to all the messaging from just the general population and everybody trying to be healthier. and so I think that sometimes like if you're, if you are an endurance athlete and you're trying to reach some kind of goal, and this doesn't mean that it has to be a 3 hour marathon. It could be whatever, your first 10K, but like all this effort that you're asking of your body and all of the things that you want it to do to adapt to this new routine, uh, I mean, it requires fuel. And actually, one of these books, and I can't remember which one it was, it might have been this one. In the book, actually, it might have been a different book that was not necessarily about just about fueling or just about nutrition. But there was an excerpt in one of the books that said there was a study that they did on people trying to learn a new skill. So it has nothing to do with sports. It just has like, I don't know, you are trying to learn a new language, or you're trying to learn, like in my case, over the last year, you're trying to learn how to code. And apparently, people who consumed enough carbohydrate, because your brain runs on carbohydrate, those that had enough circulating carbohydrates learned faster. And so this goes back to, we talk about like kids in grade school and how like when kids go to school hungry, they can't concentrate and they don't learn very well. And,
Mm.
later they might end up dropping out. And that's why they have these kids breakfast programs in schools that are in areas that are a little bit more impoverished. But like here are adults that are trying to lead busy, stressful lives, and if your brain isn't getting enough fuel, like it doesn't deal with stress well. So you're just going to feel more stressed. You're going to maybe feel more emotional. And also, if you're trying to learn something, you're going to be more overwhelmed. You're probably not going to assimilate things as quickly. And and that was such an eye opener for me. I was like, oh yeah, all right. So it applies to the rest of my life too. Like, so this is not just me trying to fuel my, yeah, okay, I have these big goals in running, but like if I do these things for my running, because I'm a runner, so that's what I care about, right? But they're probably also benefiting the rest of my life. I remember when I went back to school about a decade ago and had to relearn math and everything. And I just remember always being hungry, like, and it just goes to show you I was sitting all day in a classroom, but I was so hungry all the time, and I was constantly like, I had to go to the Tim Hortons to get an emergency muffin because I hadn't brought enough snacks, and like I was constantly eating something. And you know what, like I wonder if, if that was just it was probably good for my running at the time, but it was probably just good for my learning. Like maybe, I can't say that I was the quickest learner because I had some catching up to do, but I almost always by the end of the semester had the enough aha moments that I was like, "Oh, I get this now." I can't say that the last year has felt that way, but I'm just trying to gain experience from the past and think that if in the past I could learn things, I could still learn things. So anyway,
What worked in the past versus what could work now, although we're different people from that time to now.
yeah,
One,
we
one of
are.
the, one of the things about Practical Fueling for Endurance Athletes by Kylee Van Hoen is that there's actually menus and recipes in there
Hmm.
as well. So you can actually go, okay, I hear all this blah, blah, blah about proteins and
Exactly.
Yeah.
carbohydrates and
Hmm.
So what do I
fueling.
do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what do I eat? Well,
Yeah.
here's a meal. Ooh, that looks
Yeah.
tasty. Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
here's another meal. Oh, that looks
Yeah.
nice. Oh, and you
Hmm.
can make it, and you make enough for two and have it for lunch tomorrow. Don't
Hmm.
worry about that. That's good work.
Okay, let's just
So
be real here. Like two, no, I make for
enough for
10
four.
people. No, no, 10 people. Like if I'm gonna be in the kitchen for half a day cooking, it's gonna be worth it. And there's gonna be leftovers for like for
The
like
trouble
four
is,
days.
if you
Absolutely.
make too
Us
many
too.
leftovers, you could eat double portions.
No, because I freeze them. And then
Ah,
there are days that I don't
okay.
have to think about making a lunch because I'll just take one out of the freezer. It's like my version of frozen food.
You need to start a new podcast.
I do.
Yeah, sort of house running or house planning with Liz.
Yeah.
Household planning with Liz.
For runners or for everyone?
Here's the training program.
Uh,
Here are the meal plan on your fridge. Here's
yeah.
the
You need to have, so you need to have a lot of fridge real estate
Mm.
because
We're unboxing new fridges to make this happen. I can see the vision. Uh-huh.
hey, do
We
you
need
think
two extra
anybody
freezers in the garage.
I think I should be sponsored by a fridge company, but
Mm.
I want one of those fridges like with the water dispenser. I think that's missing in my life. You know, if I had
Ah.
that water dispenser, I wouldn't have to be filling up the Brita all the time.
That's because you've
Mm.
spotted the one in our house.
I know, I love it. It's the best. Every time I go to Alan's place, I'm like, Alan, can I go in your kitchen and fill up my water bottle? Yes, the water is always cold. It's probably filtered or something because it doesn't taste like chlorine, right,
Yeah,
Alan? There's got to
yeah,
be a filter in there.
yeah.
I don't know if you've changed it
We
recently,
might
but
have
it's
taken the
in there.
filter out because we wanted to avoid having to change the filter.
Anyway, the water is amazing and it's always cold. Whereas me, I'm always trying to figure out how to make more ice cubes. Like in the summer, I feel like
Okay,
I'm a constant quest for some kind
okay.
of ice
So the
cubes.
new house caring for your house with Liz,
With
the
Liz.
new podcast will be coming
Yeah,
out soon. In the meantime, let's move on with running books.
let's move on. Yes.
Running the World by Robyn Godfrey. Robyn's story was about, I guess, an unlikely story to begin with of kind of pursuing world majors and getting her world majors medal. Um, just Robyn herself is like a professional speaker or like a storyteller
Yeah,
or a motivational speaker or something because she was wonderful to talk to and
she
the
was.
way she tells her stories in the book is great. Um, the thing that struck me about this book was her husband had stage 4 cancer while she was running, and then it
Hmm.
became like, should you feel guilty because you're going out running when your husband has cancer and is fighting for his life? Or is running giving you the strength and the motivation to deal with the harrowing difficulties that you've got in your life? So
Yeah.
are you a bad person by going running, or are you a wonderful person by going running? In terms of choosing to do something to get the strength to deal with the rest of your life, and that was a sort of an interesting discussion with Robyn. I think the
Hmm.
latter is true. Instead of being crushed by a difficult life situation, um,
Yeah.
you can empower yourself with the means to cope.
But I think it's also true that like it's okay to feel guilty because I think, uh, it just means that, you care. You're just trying to find ways to be there for that person more, and you feel guilty because you feel like you want to do more than whatever you're doing.
Yeah, but
And
you
obviously,
should feel guilty, but then go get out for a run anyway.
oh yeah, yeah. No, I don't say like don't go for a
Yeah.
run because of the guilt, but I think it's like it's normal to feel guilty in that situation, I
Mm.
think. I feel guilty sometimes for running all the time. It's like, especially now, so Andre just retired. Um for the listeners that don't know, Andre's my husband.
Shout out Andre, we love you, buddy.
and
Congrats on
and
retirement.
so and the thing is like so I'm trying to start a different career. And so for me, I'm like trying to get a job, and I'm trying to learn things to give me skills to maybe get into an environment that I want to be in. And all these things take time, and I haven't given up on my running goals. And sometimes I feel like I just I just kind of like zip in and out of the house. Like I come back from work, it's like hi, and then I'm like I gotta
Bye.
go run for like 2 hours, and and like I feel kind of guilty because I don't know, like be over the last few years, I always thought that the job that I would have, like would be there until I decide to leave, you know. So the layoff happened when it happened, but it happened maybe a year too early. Because if it had happened this year, then I would have probably just spent a year, I don't know, hanging out with Andre and doing stuff. But instead, like, you know, it happened a little early, so I took a course, and now I'm like, I'm trying to, I don't want there to be a too much of a gap
Hmm.
between,
Yeah.
taking that and then working, and so yeah, but yeah, I feel guilty because I'm kind of like, hi, bye.
But sometimes using that guilt helps you either become better or perform better, or if you channel in the right way and don't let it become shame. I find that,
Mm,
and I think Robyn made a good point of it throughout her book. I think it was implicitly just labeled where if you use the fuel that guilt gives you, if you think of people in the right way and honor them, whether they're here or just their memory, it
mm-hmm.
not only could push you to be better, but it keeps you in touch and in contact with them in your soul. And I thought Robyn, and shout out to the both of you. That was one of my favorite podcasts ever listening to you guys, because there was just such a good job done about approaching a sensitive topic like this. And it touched me personally, and it was just really, really well done. And lastly, it was just one of those podcasts where when you're ready for it, you want to go back and listen to it because there might be an extra nugget or two you want to learn from, and you just want
Mm-hmm.
to. It was just good comfort listen.
There are similar aspects in a book that we're going to talk about in a couple of books' time.
Yeah,
Still running after all these tears.
That one
But
too.
I guess we'll reserve
yeah.
that till we get to the list.
Yeah.
I think also it's about the bright environment, and I think your partner is part of that environment, right? And I think that that both Robyn and later we're going to talk about Lisa Jackson, but their partners, they were
Hmm.
very much on board and encouraged them in the things that they wanted to accomplish. So um, there's something to be said for that as well, because like as much as we want to think that our accomplishments are our own, they're never just ours. They're also, it's not that the other person did it for you because they can't, but by not, guilt
They
tripping
provide
you,
the
or
environment for you.
yeah, and just like the constant, because obviously when you're trying to do something you've never done, you always
Hmm.
have feelings of inadequacy, and maybe, just feeling vulnerable and wondering if like you're ever gonna do it, make it, be that person. And to have a partner that's, that's always there. Sometimes it's a little annoying. It's like, because they're always there like, yeah, yeah, well, of course you can do it, and you're like, what do you mean of course? Like, it's not a given. It's not
Mm,
like, but what they mean is they mean that they believe in you. And
Hmm.
I think both of these authors had those kinds of partners, that
yes.
kind of family environment.
Yeah. Well said.
Very well said.
So, just should we move on to Move, Rest, Recover by Erin Taylor? I'm
Yes,
just
we
going to start
should.
by saying Erin was just so zen on the conversation. Like, she just,
Hmm.
if you picture the sound um of the voice of somebody that wrote a whole book about resting and recovery, this is
You feel
Erin's.
rested just listening to her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember actually listening to this podcast while listening to it, opening Google just to Google what you look like because
Hmm.
there was just this image I had of how zen she was, and I just had to figure out like how would she look like speaking like this
Hmm.
and match exactly like how her spirit came off of.
Yeah.
It's quite cool because we're doing running and books about running and training for running and things about runners and experience of runners. But in fact, this is the exact reverse. It's the complete book of not running.
Hmm.
It's it's all
Hmm.
the things in between your runs till you get to your next run, which in fact, what we're seeing over the last, I don't know, 5 years maybe, is it's becoming increasingly important.
Hmm. Hmm.
How do you promote and actively um, replenish yourself to get ready for the next run? I mean, that's what struck me
Mm-hmm.
about the last training book that we did, the Marathon Excellence for Everyone. When John Davis was talking about the training, he was talking about, okay, don't do this too hard and don't do it too soon because you've got to get, in 3 days' time, you've got another really tough run coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's all about, yes, giving you some training, but also giving you some not training or easy training or rest so that you could train harder again in a few days. And very focused on the bits in between the hard training.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those pieces of advice where, as Liz and I were mentioning, you hear this often. It comes back often. You know it's true, but it's just in the back of your mind. But when you're ready for that kind of advice, maybe because you're listening to this podcast right after a hard session, or you're thinking about a session to come and you're not ready for it, it's one of those pieces of advice that you use when you're ready to it because you need it. And even if you hear it for the nth time, well, that nth time was a productive one because you were ready for it. So it's just a
Mm-hmm.
good reminder is too small of a word. A well-timed reminder is very impactful when it comes to listening to other people voice the same things you might have heard in
Mm.
passing over time.
As somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's retired recently, one of the things that I became aware of is how busy all our lives are.
Hmm.
Um, you don't actually do rest and recovery. You do
Mm-hmm.
running, then you do the other things that you don't that are not
Yeah.
running, like
Yeah.
being a teacher or being a stack developer or being a pharmaceutical executive or taking your kids to school or planning your
Mm-hmm.
vacation or
Cooking meals for the week.
yes, cooking meals for
Yeah.
the week, whatever. And
Driving
that's
parents to appointments, which is my
and you're
reality now.
constantly and because yeah, well there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're constantly you're a learning type, you're constantly working how to squeeze more in, how to be more
Hmm.
efficient, how to plan, how to schedule properly, how to
Yeah.
and
Sometimes it's more
that
about pruning out the things that maybe like
Ooh,
don't bring you joy. Like maybe what you need to do at some point is because
what a
I think
word. Pruning out.
yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. It's like
I'm keeping that.
I was thinking of pruning plants and then yeah, it's just I don't know, it just seemed to fit.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I think that sometimes you also have to revisit all the things that you're doing and figure out which one of them, which ones of them are the ones that you actually enjoy and what do you do because you feel like you have to. And it doesn't mean never do the things that you feel pressured to do because sometimes there's always going to be things that you have to do that you maybe would rather not. It's just part of life. I think like you just have to accept it to a certain degree, but there are things that we can choose. Um,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
Well said.
I think the issue is when you maybe without realizing it initially, when you are allowing stuff to manage you rather than you managing stuff.
mhm.
Um, a couple of things that Erin talked about. She's obviously a Zen master. Able to meditate and be still. And I think lots of us are not good at that.
Mm-mm.
Um, a couple of things
I to this day I can't
yeah,
meditate.
a couple
Like
of
I'm either sleeping or like I'm thinking about my next project. Like it's so ridiculous.
yeah, in between
Yeah.
the sets at the gym, you're on your phone working out how to fit in some homework with somebody or
Yeah.
yeah. Um, Erin talked about trying to move from FOMO to JOMO. So
Yes.
from fear of missing out and must do
Hmm.
this to the joy of missing out.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually get to not do this. I
Yeah.
actually
Hmm.
get to, and the thing that for me linked with that was a term that she used that I'd never heard of before called, and I've written it down here, interoception, which he says is the skill of basically just noticing things and letting them pass. So rather than having things impact you and you react to them, you just notice them and go, okay, I acknowledge that, and off it goes. Um, and I think that's the trick of meditation.
Hmm.
Thinking
But she
about
also
nothing. She
says
says you
it's a
don't think about
practice.
nothing, you think about stuff, but what you don't do is you don't let that impact you. You just examine it and let it go.
Yeah. But she also does say that it takes practice. So it's a bit like running. I mean, because you're not going to just be good at it. And even when you're good at it, you know, it's like still, you still have to
But
like
do you
work
know
at
do you know
things.
anything that you're good at and that you're just good at? I mean, everything
Yeah,
takes
it's true,
practice,
eh?
doesn't it?
Yeah,
Almost.
you're right.
I
Yeah.
think we do it often when we're on a run. We've talked about this plenty of times where we might feel something and then we just like, oh, it's there. You know, my
Mm,
knee has a little bit of a niggle right now. I'm in mile
yeah.
Mm,
kilometer 8 of my
yeah,
long run, or
yeah,
and then you just let it be like, okay, it's there, and then
Yeah.
it's not there anymore
Yeah.
because you let it
Yeah.
pass.
I,
Yeah.
I I have this thing that I do now when I get a little tweak and it's not something that's I can feel it, but it's obviously not something that's deadly threatening major injury. Um, Rather than focus on it, what I do is I focus on the somewhere else.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
for
good point.
instance, if I've got a right hip flexor that's giving me pain, rather than focus on it and then it's always giving you pain and you can feel it giving you pain all the time, focus on my left hip flexor, which is actually working perfectly. And then I find after a while, if I concentrate on that, my right hip flexor is not hurting as much.
Mm.
It may be hurting the same, but I'm not aware of it because I'm not bringing all my attention to it. I'm not
I
Yeah.
pandering.
love thinking about my hip
Not.
flexor too. Yeah,
I'm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not pandering to it.
Honey, what are
It's
you thinking about? It's for
my
left
right
hip
knee.
flexor. You zoned out there for a little bit. Did you hear everything I said? Man, this left
I'm
hip
talking
flexor.
about when you're on a run. You don't do that when you're having dinner with your
No,
wife.
no, you better not, because that might not go over so well.
Next time we're in a conversation on a run, Alan, if you don't respond to what I said, you just doze off, I will ask about your left hip flexor. You better give me a good answer.
It better be injured. You better have a
Next
valid
time,
reason.
absolutely. Next time we're talking to him and he doesn't answer, if we just ask him, just how's
I'm
your left
trying.
hip
I'm trying to
flexor?
give you guys
Yeah.
wisdom,
Oh.
and all you're giving me is
I'm sorry. This is
all
why you
you're
don't
giving
invite the
me is
kid to the
cheek.
podcast.
You're right.
I'm sorry. I love you, buddy.
Okay,
All
doesn't look
right.
like you're going to learn anything else from Erin. We better move on to
Yeah, we're gonna
advanced
move on.
marathoning,
Yes, this
fourth
is more your
edition.
kind of book. Yep. Okay, here you are,
Uh,
Cheyenne, right here. Advanced marathoning.
Pete Pfitzinger and Scott Douglas. Basically, our
absolutely.
training program for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Numerous marathons that you've run with this. We've
Yes.
run with
Yes,
this.
we
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
My PR
Um,
marathon was with this.
There you go. I actually, I kind of like the medium long runs from this, but yeah, I have to say that when you have to cram a lot of mileage into 1 week, I think medium long runs just end up being part of it. It's just that they kind of formally called it something, whereas the other books just say like, yeah, do a 16K easy run or 18K easy run, and you're like, well, that's pretty much like a medium long run,
I
you
think
know?
the thing is with this program, they didn't say do that run. They said do that run at this pace.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was the
Yeah.
thing that scared us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fourth edition, and
And it's a kind
so
of book that is spread around more often more than I thought when I'm with my running club here in Toronto
Yeah,
or
most
with you
people have heard
guys.
of it.
yeah,
Exactly.
this has been
It's
around forever. This is the fourth edition, but the first edition was published, I
I,
mean, was it beginning 2000s or was it in the 90s?
I
I
think
can't
we're approaching
remember.
like
No, I don't know.
the modern type of lore that a Jack Daniels book has, or
Mm,
like almost prophetic books of running. This is one of those books
hmm
that if you're into marathon running, you've come across this, or your coach
You've
has
heard
used
about it.
this, heard
Yeah.
about it exactly.
Yeah.
But which is not what I thought when I first listened. The first time I heard it was your podcast about it.
Does it tell you in the fourth edition when the first edition came out?
I think it does in the inside cover. It'll say published and then it'll have like all the dates.
2001.
2001. Would you say 2001? Yes, 2001.
Cheyenne used technology and
Mm.
Alan tried to find it in his book.
I mean, you got to give him cut him some slack. I think he got distracted halfway through thinking about his hips, so it's fine.
Poor Alan.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah, but I got all
All
sorts of
right.
benefits by touching the book and getting it off the shelf. And now I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at the training schedules and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You're reminiscing about all the miles we
didn't just
did.
press a button and get a quick fix.
Yeah, that is very true.
That's well
Should
said. Yeah.
we move on?
Yeah,
Because
we
this
don't have to
podcast is going
discuss
to be
that too much.
really, really
Yeah.
long. And
Still running
I,
after all these tears by Lisa Jackson.
yes.
Another very comforting, good listen.
Yes. This book was pretty sad because she lost people that were, you know,
Hmm.
Particularly
very
her
important in her
husband,
life.
Graham, but she lost three people close to her
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
who had mesothelioma.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Which is kind of an
That's Graham.
asbestosis type thing.
Mm-hmm.
What was kind of nice is, it was clearly, the whole book was a homage to some extent to her husband and full of running. But what was kind of nice in the podcast was we talked about her husband and she thanked us for it because she says people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been really nice to just sit and talk about him.
Yeah.
So I felt we'd sort of, I don't know, one, we'd given her something back, but two, I don't know, she's just such a wholesome person that she's able to sort of feel that and reflect that, which I
Yeah, I think
thought was kind of
I think
cool.
it's interesting because like when you know that somebody's lost someone very important to them, you kind of as the other person, you sort of wonder, do I ask or do I not ask? Because because you don't want to bring up feelings that they don't feel like dealing with right now,
Mm,
or maybe they've been dealing with and they're taking a break, it's like they're with you out for coffee and you don't want to bring it up because it's like they're having a good time and you just want them to be happy.
sure.
But then the other side of it is that if everybody does that, it's like
Hmm.
there's nobody left for for the person to do some of not their grieving per se, but like just the reminiscing and the like. I guess keeping that person alive requires you to like relive memories with them
Yeah, exactly.
from when they were
Yeah,
alive and
yeah.
and the
It
trips you
becomes
did
like they were never
together.
there. They never come
Yeah,
up. They're never talked
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of I'm kind of aware of it because it's like my brother-in-law lost his wife a few years ago to breast cancer and she was young, like she was my age. She was like 40 when she passed away, or 41. And we like my in-laws and Andre's family, like they're all close, but like nobody talks about her. Like we see each other, I don't know, 12 times a year and nobody brings her up. It's like it's almost like
It's weird.
I understand why, because like it's painful for some people, but at the same time it's almost like she never existed. And it's like, but she's on the wall in some of the photos that we've taken at
Mm.
Christmas or
Mm,
whatever. Like she's there and her kids are there, and yeah, okay, they're like 5 years older now. One of them maybe just has like some more faint memories because
yeah.
he was like 5, I guess, when she passed away. But her older kids, like, well, they were older. They remember probably a lot. Like, and they
Mm.
never talk about her. They don't talk about her. Nobody talks to them about her. Nobody talks like amongst themselves. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think about that, I don't know. But so I
Was
kind
it
of
like
get,
agreed upon that we don't talk about this kind of
no,
stuff?
no, it
No?
wasn't. There wasn't. It's
Mm.
just that nobody does. And I think maybe like I don't really know why. Like maybe it's a mix of, you know, you don't want,
People don't know what to say.
yeah, I
And the
think maybe
trouble
that's
is
part of it.
when you've said nothing for a while, it's
Yeah.
harder to say something. It's a bit like when you meet
Yeah.
that person and you've forgotten their name.
Yeah.
You have to say to
Yeah.
them,
And
"Oh,
now
I'm
it's
really
like,
sorry, I've forgotten your name," within the first 10 seconds. Because
yeah.
3 minutes later, you're going, "Yeah, yeah, how's school or how's work?" Or,
Hmm.
and you're trying to work out
If you can
by,
remember.
by
Hey,
subterfuge.
champ. Hey,
Yeah,
buddy. How you
Yeah.
yeah.
doing, bud? Yeah.
Yeah.
How's work going? Hopefully, you mention work and it'll trigger a memory or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And now you can't 5 minutes into the conversation say, "Oh, by the way, I've forgotten your name."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Been talking to you for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Happens to all of us, honestly. It really does.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
yeah, the good thing about our podcast from that point of view is we have a simple rule, which is if you wrote it in the book, we're gonna
we
talk
can
about
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, and that probably just doesn't apply in real life.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
We,
I really liked some of the stories that she had in the book of, when they first met and just like the
Mm,
relationship they had. And it just
mm,
seemed like they were so open and honest with each other about
mhm.
all kinds of things. And I think they, there was a lot of dialogue between them. Like
yeah,
I,
they went through
uh,
a massive amount of treatment and changing treatment and
mhm,
looking for different treatments and refusing to give up
yeah,
um, on diagnoses and things. My conclusion was the book was full of what I called fierce love.
mm,
It was like, so much love it was almost aggressive, sort of.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
You
yeah.
did say
And
that the book contains sadness, but it's not sad as a whole.
no,
That's what I said in the
yeah.
Yeah, that you
summary.
said that, I remember. And
Yeah.
it did it feel like that for both of you? Or was that just more of a maybe a personal
Yeah,
touch?
no,
Yeah.
it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of grief, but it wasn't sad necessarily because she she did a lot of reflecting on things they did, why they did them, when, just like how they met. And even so she also lost her father. And so she tells a lot of stories about, him and her mom, like when everybody in her family was a runner except her. Um, so just all kinds of stories of um, of him and how he was. And actually, she says something. Uh, the last year of his life was probably like the time she felt the closest to him because it
Mm.
was like time she got to spend. I think he was still living in South Africa and she was living in the UK, and she went back home to stay with him for a bit. And she just talks about that just being kind of like a gift because she got to spend time with him and
Probably instead of seeing her father for, I don't know,
talk.
12 days before he died, because she went to go and live with him, she stayed with him for 6 months solid before he died.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
So
It was a
good
good book. It was a
stuff.
good book to listen to. It was a good discussion to listen to. I remember this is one of those podcasts that like marked me, and there was a definite before and after in terms of how I view a few things, especially how you deal with grief. And it was just a
Yeah.
very good listen as a listener point of view. It was awesome.
hmm yeah.
I remember this was the podcast I listened to, and then I remember going back to it, I think a couple weeks later, and then I listened to a piece of it that I wanted to listen to. And then I remember texting both of you in the group chat that we have about, hey guys, it's like the date passed for the next podcast. What happened? And I think this was the podcast where there was nothing left after, or maybe there was one more. But I remember
Mm.
this was one of those last podcasts, and it was so impactful that I didn't even realize that the new one didn't come out yet because, of course, Liz was busy and things were going on, and then that's when I hopped in. Um, this is one of those this is one of those podcasts that I wanted to listen to twice, and it could have filled up two. I think we could have filled up 2 episodes with this kind of stuff.
Mm, for
We can
sure.
fill up 2 episodes with most of our podcasts, including this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't structure it properly for it to be that way. So, you guys are gonna just have to listen to one big old long podcast.
Enjoy the content, guys.
Last
Last
book.
book.
Last book.
What I talk
Yeah,
about when I talk about running by Haruki Murakami.
this is the one where we introduce Cheyenne as a, as the next
Yeah,
co-host
our
with
numbers took
Alan.
a massive downturn.
Actually, they've been looking up. I don't know, guys. Like I think it just means that you guys are destined to take over the podcast. Did
No,
you
no, it's a dream team. We're destined to be the three of us
see?
together. This is
All
gonna hit
right.
numbers.
All right. Well, I don't know,
I think
like because
eventually
those
I'll
numbers.
retire. I'll retire from podcasting, or
Nonsense. Nonsense.
I'll
What else are you gonna do?
I'll die of
Yeah.
old age, and then you two can take the
Nonsense.
podcast on your own, and that's when the numbers will kick up.
No. Jeez.
I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah, Alan's
You know,
gone.
Alan,
Thank
Alan, think
God
about
for
your hip.
that.
Think about your hip. It's okay. Think about your hip
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
Just think
yeah.
about your
She's
left hip.
okay at the
A
moment,
hip
actually.
flexor.
He's like, it's okay at the moment. Actually, he's very in touch with it. I don't know how to feel my hip. How do you, this guy?
So you've never had a sore hip flexor, otherwise you'd know exactly
Hmm.
what it feels like.
Good point. No, this was a great book. I remember reading it, and we had discussed because it was my first episode back. Sorry, first episode on. Apologies. We had discussed a couple of different books, and Alan had said this is a good way to just bring yourself into it. It's pretty, um, it's a pretty good read, and it was light. And within that lightness, I found that it had contained a few lessons, and the angle it started with was amazing because Haruki Murakami isn't introduced as a runner. He's introduced as an accomplished
Author.
person,
Yeah.
author, an accomplished person all around. He owned establishments and he enjoyed running, which to your point, Alan, we're not professional runners. We got to our recovery. When your point is our recovery isn't necessarily recovery, it's other stuff. We can relate to a person who is someone plus a runner, and then just
Mm.
running takes over their lives. And as his story increases in running content, and as his story grows into becoming a runner, as taking a bigger space in his life, we've all related to that. All of us had
We
an
see our
upswing where we
story
became
through
runners.
him. Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly, exactly. Why? What did he choose when he became a runner? Why did he choose? What was the thing that pulled him in? How did he react to it? Did he overdo it? It just felt a lot more relatable than an elite runner talking about the best tips and tricks and stuff. So it was really cool to
Mm.
see it through that lens.
I thought the phrase right at the start that he talked about, pain is inevitable. Your hip
Hmm.
flexor is going to get sore sooner or later.
Yeah, Cheyenne, you better watch
Um,
Oh
out.
no.
but but suffering is optional.
Hmm.
You
Yes.
know, you will get pain, but it's a
You
little
can think
bit
about something else.
it's it's a little bit like, I don't know, interoception. You know, the pain comes and you can go, okay, well, there's a pain. I notice that pain. Or you can say, you know, there's a pain and it's hurting, it's hurting, it's hurting, it's hurting, and then you go into a suffering cycle. Um, it might depend on how bad the pain is, of course. But it's a nice concept that, you know, you're going to have to deal with some pain. You're going to do a marathon. And I think, yeah, all the experienced marathons say you're going to have some difficulty at the end, and you know, how you deal with that is down to you.
Hmm.
And part of the training is learning to deal with that in the right way.
Liz, what was your relationship with the book or episode? Like how did you come across it? Had you read the book before? Did you only listen to it after? And then did you have a different like this was
This
your first
this
podcast to listen to? What was that like?
so this book has been sitting on my shelf ever. And it was one
It,
of these
it
books
was
we
it was a
always
book
kind
that
of,
we said, oh, we should do it because we both have it on our bookshelf.
yeah, except that it was because like we were always kind of coming into there was always kind of like a stack of books that, you know, there were authors that were ready to come on the podcast for.
Hmm.
And this one was a book that like we just both happened to have in our bookshelves just because like I know I got mine from my sister and
Yeah, I got
Alan
mine
like
as a gift
maybe
from somebody.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so we just had it because it seems like this one has been around for so long. It's kind of like a classic.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's quoted a lot.
yeah, all the time. Like we actually have seen quotes in some of the other books that we've read, and so I don't know. It's interesting that like this ended up being this ended up being the book that I ended up not doing with Alan because it's been sort of on the back burner for so long and just always in reserve because we're always thinking it's good to have something in reserve in case, you know, we end up mismanaging like just the flow of books or whatever because sometimes they just come to us, but other times we actually have to, you know, try and try and
Hmm.
find possible options and then source them and then see if like the authors will come on and everything. So it's actually yeah, it was
It was a good filler item for our
it
podcast.
it and it actually it ended up being
Yeah.
a good filler, but in not the way that like I thought it would end up being because it's like we always thought we were gonna fill it, but we never needed it. And then finally it was because we had this gap and no material or um and then you needed to transition. It was great because there was no author waiting.
How does it feel, Liz, having to downsize your running book reading? Is it a relief because you
It's
got is it a relief because you got
it's
so much stuff going on at the moment, or
right now it's
uh,
kind of a relief because yeah, like it's I mean a book every two
Oh my
weeks
God. I don't know how you guys do it.
plus the notes and the yeah, it was a lot once everything else accumulated. So I think because like, you know, you take things on sort of bit by bit. It, you know, like when we started this podcast, I had a job that I was kind of comfortable in, that I'd been doing for a long time, that I knew like what space it takes in my life. Whereas now I'm in something that I have no idea what space it takes
Hmm.
because it takes more space than it should, or I guess it doesn't because like it should take a lot of space because it's new, but yeah,
mm,
it's just it seems like it's kind of unpredictable and then trying to get all these book readings in with all the notes and coordinating authors on a schedule that I'm not sure of myself, you know, it's like because you have to plan these in advance.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I
we
don't
were
know how you
actually
guys fit
really
jobs into your lives, actually. I mean, I only started the podcast after I retired. There was no way I could have done it while I was working.
yeah. We're
That's a
actually
good
we were
point.
actually really happy when you accepted Cheyenne because like you have always been a big fan of the podcast and we
Yeah.
know that you love books about running because you like oftentimes we would talk to you and you'd read something or you'd suggest something or like we covered a book and then you
Yeah.
end up buying it.
Also,
We
we couldn't find anybody better. So,
here I was trying to say
Appreciate it.
like
Thank you.
how passionate you are and
or
but
maybe there
yeah,
is
just
nobody better because you're the best.
Ah, you'd be
Yeah.
yeah.
a great Hallmark card
Card
writer,
writer.
Alan. We
Hmm.
Yeah.
couldn't find anybody better. Opens
Yeah.
card because there is no one better. I
There you
appreciate it.
go.
I was honored. I never personally I've always tried to abstain from recording a podcast. The people who are going to listen to this are a few of them who've like asked like, "Hey, you want to join this? We want to talk about this." And I've always been fearful of having my words be on an internal record. You know, what do I say if it comes off a certain way? You can't you're not talking to someone, you're talking to people who can't respond back. So I always had a fear of speaking on a platform where someone can't speak back and I don't want to offend them or I don't want to say something that could turn out to be false. But the moment you guys asked, all that worry just didn't exist. It was just on the it was no longer present because I just had it was just an honor to be considered, and I just went in my gut and my emotion. I said, yeah, let's
That's
try it
good.
out, let's do it, and it's been really cool. You guys have been very welcoming, and I truly feel like I sit on shoulders of two giants here because you've created something so strong and big, monumental and fantastic. It's really cool.
Yeah. We're not making any
Yeah.
money out of it though. So
No. Yeah.
if we're giants, we're giants in shabby clothes.
Mm.
One of those monuments that everyone can visit where there's no fee for it. You know what I mean? One of those like
Yeah.
public access
Yeah.
monuments.
Yeah.
Money. We don't need money.
Love of the
Well,
game, baby. That's what we
not-
do it for.
Not all things worthwhile doing are worthwhile doing because you're getting paid for them.
Mm.
But at the same time, like you do
I feel
sometimes
it.
have to be paid for certain things because
Yeah.
otherwise you can't pay your
Yeah.
bills.
Your
But,
time is
you know,
valuable. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I
Good point.
think like, you know, if we're gonna read all these books and you know, we're part of this community and it's kind of it's nice to be able to give back, give something, you know.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like you're not just giving a podcast where you hop on board a couple hours of your time and speak. You're giving up and you hear about it, but you can only appreciate it once you do it. You're giving up hours of your time a week to read something, prepare it, write notes, and give back quality content, not just hop on board and speak your mind and speak your empirical knowledge about something.
Sometimes it's quality content and sometimes it's a 10-book review.
Yeah. With 3
This
people
guy.
going off topic at least like 3 times every 5 minutes.
Okay, so that completes our 10-book review.
I don't know. I always wonder about these 10-book summaries because these are the ones that we get the least downloads for these for some reason. But they're kind of fun because we get to revisit the books and
Yeah, and also we get to chat in a more ad hoc sort of way. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a treat.
less
I find it's a nice
structured.
treat.
Yeah. So I guess at least, we had fun, even if nobody listens up until now.
We're amongst friends here, as Alon always says. We're always amongst you running buddies, and whoever joins is running buddy too.
If you've noticed, I've been leaving quirky
Yeah.
things on the end of the wrap up just for the people who
Stick around.
stay with us to the very, very bitter end.
Yeah. Because I'm convinced that like once you say, and thank you for listening to another
Everybody goes,
episode
click.
of Running Book Reviews. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Next.
No, they're driving in their car and it's just playing out.
Yeah, exactly. I thought everyone was like that.
But now they get to hear Shayan say bye, and then go, ooh, that sounded just like this.
Isn't that great? See why you're a perfect replacement, Cheyenne? Like it's amazing. You see, you just fit yourself right in there.
I learned from the best. Well, if
Yeah,
you're listening
and
so
that's-
far in, why don't you tell us what shoes you run with the most? Give us a brand of shoes you run. If you listen to this so far, hit us up, email us, contact us, put it in the review. What brand of shoes you wear?
Spoiler,
see what we get.
spoiler alert, Cheyenne has already worn them.
Yeah,
Yes,
probably.
He has more shoes than I've seen than anybody. I think he's second on the all-time list behind Imelda Marcos in terms of.
I'm
you
so
guys
sorry.
don't know that. That's an
I
old
gotta
joke.
Google that.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
Okay,
She was
if
the
you
wife of
understood the
Prime
reference,
Minister
let us
of
know.
the Philippines, and she was famous for having thousands of pairs of shoes.
Oh wow.
Imelda
Okay.
Marcos.
There you go. I think I'll just cut this out. It's
It-
obviously
no,
not
no.
hitting the demographic.
If
Do
you
a wrap
understood
up.
this joke, let us know. Please hit us. We can't even do this properly.
Stop giggling. Do the wrap up.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Running Book Reviews. We hope you enjoyed our first summary episode as a threesome. Let's go. This was fun, actually. Very fun. If you like the sounds of any of the books that you've heard about, or you haven't listened to the full episodes of them, why don't you do that now? Find those episodes, let us know what you think, and hit us up with feedback. If you would like to leave us that kind of feedback about how we can improve the podcast or want to suggest the book that you'd like for us to review in a future episode, please leave us a comment on social media. Where? Well, we're Running Book Reviews on Facebook and Instagram. And on Twitter or X, on Twitter X, we are reviews_running. Please also follow us on social media to find out about new episodes when they are released, or you can just subscribe to the podcast on your favorite streaming platform and let us know what shoes you're going to wear to tomorrow's run. If you have been listening for a while and are wondering how you can help us out, there are a few ways. If you're enjoying the podcast, spread the word. Honestly, it's amazing. Tell your friends about us or share a link to your favorite episode with the running partner or running chat you're having while you're at the coffee shop. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, if that's how you listen to the podcast, or rate us on Spotify or whatever streaming platform you're on if they have a review system. We are now on Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy us a coffee, listen to excerpts that are free for you to peruse, and listen or even read a section of Alan's future book. And you can access us there too. Maybe even hear some quirky things we said as a threesome on there.
And we're really sorry about the length of this episode, guys.
We are not. You're getting free content here, and you're probably laughing at 10% of our jokes, which is good.
Liz apologizes.
That's 10% more laughter than you would get without listening, I guess.
No.
That's all for now from Running Book Reviews. Bye.
Bye.
We timed it. I was thinking about that bye all day today.
Oh my God.
Can I get it with her? Can I time it? Should I warn her in advance? Liz, I'm going to do your bye. Let's do it together.
And of course, I've recorded all the chat.
Yeah. Actually, you know what, Alan? It's a good thing that you're recording because I'm not. So.
I forgot to.
Yeah.
I didn't give you guys permission.
Oh, we're
it's Alan's fault.
Hopefully, it'll be okay.
This was fun.